were able to beat the entire regular story of Pokemon Heart Gold in the last 2 parts without once using a move. That's pretty cool, but there's still one more fight I want to do with this challenge. Can you beat Red without using any moves in battle? Red's fight is different than any other we've seen so far, and not only because his Pokemon are the highest level and most powerful, but mainly due to the hail being permanently up. This is a bit of a double-edged sword. Most of Red's Pokemon take hail damage, but it also severely limits the amount of viable Pokemon I can use for this fight because mine also take hail damage. This really sucks when considering how easy it would have been to PP stall some of Red's Pokemon. A ground type and steel type Pokemon would have been enough to PP stall Pikachu, for example, especially considering how Leftovers negates a lot of Red's damage but gets cancelled out by the hail. I also now have access to Pokemon like Shedinja, who could have been amazing at PP stalling but faints to 1 instance of hail damage. My first few losses had to do with unrealistic expectations as to how the battle would play out. I thought I would need to poison Pikachu, have Absol be unaffected by Psychic, and I don't even remember what Raiku's pressure was for. Poison Point and Flame Body are too bad to use in this fight. All it really does is take up a necessary team slot and speed up the use of one of Red's 4, that's right, 4 full restores by a couple of turns. Full restores are even more fun to have used against you when you have no chance to take a Pokemon out in one hit, meaning it is mandatory to somehow beat all 6 of his Pokemon with 4 of them healed back up to full health right before fainting. Let's go over some of Red's Pokemon. He starts with his Pikachu, who uses Iron Tail or one of his electric moves depending on the Pokemon that's out before I switch. His electric moves being Thunderbolt and Volt Tackle, and he's holding the Light Ball, which doubles attack and special attack. The first full restore will always be used on Pikachu if I don't make it faint to recoil damage. His Charizard deals a ton of damage. He mainly switches between using Flare Blitz and Air Slash. Venusaur knows Sludge Bomb, Sleep Powder, Giga Drain, and Frenzy Plant. I can switch to Magnemite to be immune to Sludge Bomb and sometimes lock him into using Sleep Powder for a couple turns, but Giga Drain heals him for more than hail damages and Frenzy Plant destroys my Pokemon, so he's one of the biggest threats. Before I get further into his team, because it takes a while for me to get past his first 3 Pokemon, I want to mention a mechanic that isn't usually important but crucial for this fight, and that is that Red will choose his next Pokemon he sends out depending on the Pokemon you have out when one of his faints. This is important because it lets me control which Pokemon have a full restore used on them, and it'll become even more important for a reason you'll see later. Eventually, I switch my team up to hold as many ice types as I can. I add Frostlass and Abomasnow. Unfortunately, I had to say bye to Articuno even though it's better than Abomasnow because you need Rock Climb to get up to Red, which is stupid and dumb. Abomasnow is the only ice type that would fit the role of a Venusaur check while knowing Rock Climb, so I have to use him. I also have Glalie for maximum healing since it heals in hail and has leftovers, and Lapras, who is very bulky and has water absorb. I try out a new strategy for Pikachu. Instead of continuing to be immune to his electric moves until hail forces him to heal, I switch in Glalie when he's just low enough to faint at the end of the turn to hail if he uses Volt Tackle, but it doesn't always work. He's more likely to go for Thunderbolt, but it's early in the battle so it's not too risky. Since Glalie is in when Pikachu faints, Red will send out Charizard, and because it does way too much damage to my team, Lapras is holding a Sticky Barb. If the opponent uses a contact move, it will stick to them. Whoever's holding it will take 1/8 of their health at the end of the turn. And as a quick note, Pikachu can't have it attached to him because he's holding the Light Ball. The Sticky Barb makes the target an ideal full restore fodder for this battle. Now I can consistently get to Venusaur, who I bait into using Sludge Bomb against Magneton and a Grass move against Abomasnow. It's very important to count PP in this battle, because when Venusaur runs out of Sludge Bomb or Sleep Powder, he commonly resorts to Frenzy Plant, which even though he loses a turn and doesn't heal with Giga Drain, does way too much damage to whoever is unfortunate to receive it. Because of the full restore before, Venusaur won't have one used on it. Next up is Blastoise, who, fun fact, is the reason I need a ghost Pokemon. He has Focus Blast, Hydro Cannon, Blizzard, and worst of all, Flash Cannon. Quagsire is amazing here, because he resists Flash Cannon and has Water Absorb. But the rest of my team can't take that many Flash Cannons, and he won't use Hydro Cannon unless he's out of at least Focus Blast, and even then it's rare until Blizzard and Flash Cannon are used up too. One of Red's biggest threats is his Snorlax. It knows Shadow Ball, Crunch, Giga Impact, and Blizzard. Stalling this thing out is a nightmare, and commonly the end of an attempt. For this next attempt to make sense, there's a few quick things I have to go over. If Frostlass is the Pokemon in on the turn Red's Pokemon faints, he will send in Blastoise. If Blastoise has already fainted and Frostlass is in, he will send out Snorlax. I switch items, so now Abomasnow is holding the Sticky Barb to pass on to Snorlax. Since he's my check to Venusaur, I don't want Venusaur to come in before Snorlax. If he came out first, then the Sticky Barb would quickly faint Abomasnow. This means I have to have Frostlass in on the turn 2 of Red's Pokemon faint. And there you have it, the entirety of Pokemon Heart Gold beaten without once using a move. This challenge was super fun and I'm glad it's possible. And I'm thinking of doing this challenge in a different game, so let me know if that's something you'd like to see. Subscribe so you don't miss out on my next challenge.